What's up, guys? Welcome back to Talking Into Infinity, a Dream Theater podcast. I'm your host, John. With me is my intrepid co-host, Brian. You almost missed the show by letting your dog go out in the yard and, do what he's got to do.
Well, he likes to play Frisbee, and if you don't play Frisbee, he will sit there and bark at the cabinet that has the Frisbee for 45 minutes straight. And since it's just me here, I had to make sure we got some Frisbee in.
So you coddle your dog. Okay.
It's either that or have my neighbors want to just destroy me. So,
well, I am guilty of that myself. So, all right. So we are going to get to tonight's concept in a minute. We came up with an idea. I came up with an idea. I'm not sure how sold you are on this, but I think it'll be kind of fun. So we came up with the idea of an album versus album cage match, and we basically picked albums at random, and we're kind of pitting them against each other. And the caveat being that whichever one has less songs, we then have to shave songs off of the other album in order to make them equivalent in terms of number of songs. So the album we picked at random last night was Train of Thought, which for you is not one of your more popular records. So before we get into the opponent for Train of Thought, it's like WWE in here. I think we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the Lost Not Forgotten archives that they just announced today. So I know that you and I had watched the Images and Words 25th anniversary, that the live stream that they did of the show from what was it, 2017, and in the Q&A afterwards, they mentioned that they were doing that, and we finally got the announcement. And I guess the first thing that you can order is that concert on Blu-ray. So the question is, are you going to be ordering that?
Yeah, I'm going to order it. I think it was a great show, and it commemorates a great tour, and it was in a great venue. I don't spend quite as much money on that type of stuff as you do. I don't think anyone on the planet does. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I will definitely order that. It looks like it's going to be awesome. I don't know what kind of extras they're going to throw in there, but I'm sure it's going to be a lot of cool stuff. I didn't read up on all the details exactly, but whenever they release this kind of stuff, there's usually all kinds of bonus content and stuff.
Yeah, they didn't really announce much with it. I know I went on the site right away. I believe that you can start pre-ordering this stuff next Friday. So I'll definitely be doing that. I'm a completist with that sort of thing. But they didn't put up a link to what else is going to be there. I mean, obviously they said the previous UTA Jam catalog will be all available on CD. And the cool thing is they're releasing it on vinyl and digital. So I know I'm going to be blowing a ton of coin on the digital stuff. Did you ever own any of the UTA Jam stuff?
I did not. Nope.
Okay. Yeah, dude, you got to check it out. There's some great stuff. I know that there's the that 6 Degrees DVD. I think I loaned that to you that night actually. There was a concert from Romania that they released on DVD that has that, and there's a really cool documentary on that. So I have that. I know on CD I had the Master of Puppets cover they did. I had the Majesty demos. I have the or the DVD of When Dream and Day Reunite. There was a ton of stuff that I wanted, and I had some more. I don't remember which ones, but all of my CDs got stolen. So I'm kind of pumped up that they're re-releasing this stuff because I really want to get that back, especially the Falling Into Infinity demos and whatnot. So are you going to be investing in all that stuff? Do you think you'll get anything?
I'll probably get some of the vinyl. I think when the new album comes out, I'm going to get that on vinyl. I think I'm going to turn into one of those vinyl people. I had a bunch of vinyl originally. I think I told you the story a million times. I had like 100 real classic metal records, and I got tired of lugging them around back in the early 90s when I was like moving apartments, single every, how it was every 6 to 8 months or whatever.
Yep.
So somewhere at a record exchange, I got $100 for all 100 of them. They're probably worth today, probably easily, I don't know, $2,500 at least, I imagine. There was some pretty rare stuff. Like I had the Exodus Bonded in Blood, the original, stuff like that.
Really?
I had like some of the original, like the Cheap Trick, Budokan, the stuff from 70. That was a lot. Everything was in really mint condition.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's I think I'm going to try to get back in it. Well, because the newest vinyl I got was when you and I went and I got the Distance Over Time I shelled out the money for that, and I've never listened to it because I got to do some research on, a turntable to get. But you're not really a vinyl guy yet, are you? Are you going to head that way, or?
No, well, it's funny you mention that because my wife loves it, and my stepson bought her a turntable for Christmas. So now we got a big like milk crate full of albums downstairs, and she runs it through our sound bar and our living room television. So she listens to all kinds of stuff down there. But actually, I'm actually considering collecting all of my favorite, like, I wouldn't say all, but my two favorite bands are Dream Theater and Van Halen. And I'm thinking about collecting all of their stuff on vinyl, which this now makes it a little more difficult considering there's going to be a crap ton of vinyl available through this. But yeah, I don't really listen to it, but I think it's kind of cool to have. It's one of those collector-y things. And I think I've said before, I've got like the super deluxe, European box set of on vinyl of The Astonishing. So well, there you go. So Adam Rishog, what's going on, man? He has a suggestion for you. He said Audio Technica makes an awesome beginner's turntable. So there you go.
Sweet.
So there's your purchase. There's your purchase, man.
Is beginners? Is that code for like at least under $200? I hope.
or is it code for if you're a complete moron?
Yeah.
All
like
right.
Those kinds you used to have in grade school. Remember where the cover folds up and you could just take it from room to room and the teacher would play whatever.
Yeah. I had one of those as a kid, man. I played the Empire Strikes Back album on it like it was religion. It was unbelievable.
Nice.
I loved it. Yep. All right, so let's get into tonight's topic. So, like I said, we are going to do an album versus album cage match, and we picked, and we did do this at random. So we weren't just like, oh, let's do this one versus this one. So last night we randomly got Train of Thought. And then today at random of all records, we got an album that you absolutely love, A Dramatic Turn of Events.
Whoa, get out of here.
Yeah, like I didn't tell you that a little
bit.
I
didn't know it was going to be Dream Theater. See, I had picked this out actually. This is 1987 Y&T Contagious. I did not know we were doing Dream Theater versus Dream Theater.
Is that why you're wearing the Amazing Dangerous Toys hat tonight?
Yeah, I was all set to put Armed and Dangerous up against Honor Thy Father, or Bodily Harm up against As I Am, but I guess we're not going to do that now, so I'll put this guy away.
Oh my God, man. So you're saying that you don't have a whole ton of vinyl, but you've got a vintage Y&T record.
I have stuff from, I worked at a radio station in college. I'll make this quick. And I was a DJ there. And whenever the metal stuff came in, they gave it to me. And so that stuff kind of survived. It was stuck at my mom's house because it was like, I didn't want to cart all this extra stuff around. So I have like 10, 15 albums. You'll get a kick out of them. I'll have to show them to you sometimes. I have a bunch of cool singles and stuff, but yeah, Dramatic Turn of Events versus Train of Thought. I mean, can we get two albums that are more different sounding? Yeah. I mean, in terms of just the way they sound and the way they're recorded, and I'll just jump in here real quick. The most obvious thing was Jordan Rudess even in the studio on 3/4 of this album?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because like he, in interviews for Train of Thought, he did talk about that. He said, it was hard not to get buried because the keyboard and the organ and all that kind of stuff was acting more as a rhythm guitar in a lot of places. And when I was listening back to it today, I never really noticed that before, but that really was the case. And I thought it sounded really cool. Like I had never listened for it before. And I kind of dig it. I mean, it was interesting, I mean, because I had it in headphones at work, so you can hear details a little better that way, obviously. But yeah, he said he got buried, but he's not really wrong. I mean, you really have to kind of listen for him on Train of Thought, whereas he's very prominent, I think, on A Dramatic Turn of Events. So, now were you able to be at all unbiased with this? Considering
I actually was. You're going to be pretty stunned, I think, with some of the things I have to say. Well, first of all, they're going to sound semi-intelligent, so that'll stun you right there. But no, you know what? I and again, when I first kind of said, well, these albums, they just were kind of more albums I just didn't really listen to all that much because upon first listen, I wasn't all that excited. Sure. And then as I've gotten older and sort of more mature, and especially just really into the newer Dream Theater, it's kind of brought me back to to some of the stuff. And I don't want to give away exactly what I'm going to say about everything, but I definitely have a new appreciation for definitely things that are going on in the album. I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of there's cool parts in a lot of the stuff. I don't think the songs are, and this isn't going to be a shock to you, I don't think the songs are anywhere near as strong as Dramatic Turn. That's personal taste and opinion. But
Okay. Um, it's interesting because I almost feel the opposite. It's kind of it's weird.
wait,
I
what?
Yeah. As I was going through this, I was like, "Oh God, this is gonna sound this is really gonna sound like I'm doing this just to be, a contrarian, and make for good listening, and we're gonna argue about it,
So you're
But
saying you hate Dramatic Turn of Events now more than you did before?
no, well, I don't hate it. It's
Okay.
just, the one thing I will say that like kind of it disappoints me still is the production on it. Like the drums were very thin. The first two Mangini records, man, they did not get a good drum sound, especially on the self-titled record when the snare sounds like it's off. Dramatic Turns, or Dramatic Turn, excuse me, has the drums are very thin. So I think the heavy parts that are there, which there aren't a ton, I don't think, uh, they don't hit as hard. I don't know where you fall on that, but
I will say that the drums on Train of Thought, and I'm gonna top 6 Degrees because I thought originally that was the best sounding. This is the best sounding album for Dream Theater drums, I think.
really,
Yeah, I
see,
think they sound giant, full, amazing, and they don't sound processed at all.
you're talking about Train of Thought, right?
Train of Thought, yes.
Okay. See, I would take a Dramatic Turn, or man, I'm hung up on that record. I would take Distance Over Time for drum production. I love the production on that. For me, it's that one and 6 Degrees, I think. So, but I mean, Train of Thought. I think this was their attempt at making, like they said, like a classic metal album, and the production definitely shows that. I mean, it was because I was going like song for song. I was trying, once we picked this a couple hours ago, I was going song for song. So I was going track one versus track one, track two versus track two, and you could tell that this was Train of Thought was definitely Petrucci's "Check Out How Metal I Am" record, because the guitars are definitely a little more prominent than they usually are in the mix. So I would have to say, if we're going head to head just based on production, I think I would definitely take, Train of Thought. Regardless of the fact that it was supposed to be metal, I just think it sounds, I think it sounds better. So we have to take out two songs from a Dramatic Turn of Events because Train of Thought has only 7 tunes. So I think we're in agreement here. But what two songs did you remove?
Was it Far From Heaven and Beneath the Surface?
Oh, there we go. There's one thing we agree on. It's kind of hard to keep ballads in when you're going up against like the heaviest album Dream Theater's ever made.
Yeah,
So
I mean, those are the shorter songs, and they're not going to really, well, other than I guess maybe Vacant, if you want to put that up against Far From Heaven or whatever, those two could go head to head, but I don't, the
yeah,
rest of them is not going to make a lot of sense.
yeah,
So, yeah, I think this should be, it looks like I do have somebody agree with me. Gibson Les Paul says Dramatic Turn of Events destroys Train of Thought. Well,
yeah.
I wasn't
Yeah,
expecting that. I thought in this group we'd get everyone on the Train of Thought train without using the pun too much here.
yeah, yeah. I don't know, man. It's like, um, I don't know. I think a lot of fans may, at least from who I've talked to, people actually do prefer a Dramatic Turn of Events. It seems like most of the really diehard fans kind of prefer the stuff that kind of leans a little more towards the typical classical progressive approach. And I think when they veer into the really heavy territory, I think some fans are kind of like, eh. Whereas I kind of dig it.
Yeah, I think what happened with this is, this was the first Mangini album, and it just sounded like a return to, and it's been compared, what is there, that video? I think you showed it to me where someone tries to break it down song by song to
Yeah.
images and words. And
Yeah.
it's hilarious because there actually there are some valid points. I mean, I can hear some hints of things like Metropolis and even Surrounded going on in that album. But it's not, it's not to the degree that those people that broke it down to.
No.
But I thought that this was just a return to, man, this is like every song is just this big epic sweeping thing, especially the keyboards just really make it. I love all of the sounds he uses, all the big giant, like voice choir type sounds and strings and the synth sounds. And it's just a huge sounding album. I'm laughing now because the same guy who had my back now says I'm an idiot for saying the Train of Thought's drums were good. So
Yep, Gibson Les Paul. He says, "Oh wow, Train of Thought's drums are terrible. The kicks are way too loud and the snare is very dry. And I like scooped mids, but Train of Thought totally eliminates them. I didn't think Dream Theater pulled off being heavy very well." I'm going to disagree with you on the scooped mids. I think if there was like a guitar sound that kind of sounded like that, I think it would be Black Clouds. That one had kind of some funky, that was a little, As for the kicks, I think it works. I think it works for what they were going for on the record for it to be heavy. So I gotta say, Gibson, I think I would disagree with you on that one. I would tend to disagree. Adam Rishog says, totally agree. Train of Thought has much better production, but I think the songwriting on Dramatic is for sure better. Overall, I prefer Dramatic Turn of Events, even though it's my least favorite album for drum production. Well, I mean, so he pretty much agrees with you. So,
well, you and I have talked before that isn't this the album where Petrucci basically already had everything programmed using, whatever drum thing for Pro Tools, and everything was already in there, and it's like Mangini came in and played it, but if it's already all done through that way, so I don't want to use the term robotically, but it's going to probably sound the way it sounds, right?
Yeah, I think Petrucci had it all done to a drum machine, but he said, to Mike Mangini, well, here's the parts, so meaning like here's all the guitars and everything. He's like, and here's what I have in mind. But if you want to change it to something, if you have an idea, that's cool. But but he definitely was not part of the writing process. John specifically said that it was him and Jordan 100%. So, I think it sounds like that. Once we do our album, deep dive on this one, I'll get more into it. I don't want to give anything away there, but I have a lot of thoughts on this record. But that being said, why don't we just get right into it? Track 1 versus track 1 on the Backs of Angels versus As I Am, and I do have notes, and I have one very short note, and my note says, obviously it's As I Am. So I will let you say which one you picked.
I am going to take As I Am.
Wow,
I know
no
that
kidding.
shocks you. Yeah, and the reason being is, I just got done praising this album because it is a return to Image's type of style and songwriting and the feel. But the first, which was the original first single, Backs of Angels, is a little too familiar, safe territory for me. I still like the song. First time I heard it, I thought it was cool. But if you want a song to open up a show, it's going to be As I Am over that one any day of the week. And I'll be the first to admit that. I have no problem saying that.
Yeah. As I Am is just like, it's a heavy hitter. It's memorable. It's just awesome. It comes in with, that bass thing. It's such a great, like you said, show opener. And, the one thing that on the Backs of Angels does that is kind of repeated a few times throughout the record, something that I didn't like. It has like forced proggy parts, I would say. It's almost like, like going into the chorus, and then a chorus, like it almost seems like, oh, we better do something progressive here. And it seems like they kind of shoehorned it in there. And they do it a few times on this album, and I was kind of like, well, that doesn't really fit, at least to my ear. So I don't know. I on the Backs of Angels is like, to me, it's a good song, but it's one of the weakest album openers that they have, I think.
I agree. I also thought on the last, the Untethered Angel, I don't think is, it's another song about angels, I guess, but that one too, I thought was kind of a weak choice for first single, and just because the rest of the album is just so amazing, it's tough to stand up to it anyway.
Wow. All right, we'll definitely have to get into that when we do that album deep dive, because I'm not sure I agree with that. I like that song, but then again, I love that whole record. So, you know, yeah, I don't know. This was, I had a couple difficult ones in here, and this was not one of them. This was like when I wanted to go back and listen and compare. This was one of the ones that I could just skip. It's like, I don't need to listen to As I Am, because I know that one like the back of my hand. And On the Backs of Angels is cool, but I knew which one I was gonna pick.
I was surprised how easy it was for me, even being a fan of Dramatic Turn. That, yeah, it was. I'm not totally stupid, contrary to popular belief. So, yeah, like you said, that's no brainer, right?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I really thought that you might take like the entire Dramatic Turn record. I really wondered if that was how you were gonna lean on this. All right.
Well, if we had done this, I don't know, before we started this podcast, and you said just jump on here, and I just kind of like quickly listened to it again, I would have. I mean, there's no doubt. But I've gone back and really dug into it, and I like a lot of stuff on it.
Isn't that weird? Like, I had the same thing too. Like, when Dramatic Turn came up as the opponent for Train of Thought, I went, oh man, really? Like, this is gonna be me on one polar opposite, and Brian on the other. And then as I started comparing, I was like, it really wasn't. It's one of the kind of the fun aspects of the show, is that we get to kind of re-listen to this stuff with a more analytical ear, and kind of like, oh, I missed that. Oh, I didn't realize that. And it was pretty cool to do that with the Dramatic Turn for me. All right, moving on to track 2 versus track 2. Build Me Up, Break Me Down versus This Dying Soul. Who do you got?
Man, this is tough. This one I think was one of the hardest ones.
Yeah.
Because it's like, do I go with my heart, or what I've kind of just sort of discovered some stuff on this song? I'm going to go with, I'll just go back to which one, if I'm going to hear them live, I'll go with Build Me Up, Break Me Down. I think in terms of just an actual song, we put it in our, do we both have it in our, what did we call that? Our non-prog song list?
You had it in the list, yeah.
Oh, I thought we both had it, because I thought it was one of yours I stole. No?
No.
Oh, okay. So anyway, I did have it in there, and that's not necessarily why I'm picking it, but I just think it's a great song, and it has enough of their prog type elements in it. And it's one I would love to hear live. So I'll take, it's just a slight edge. This one was pretty tight.
Okay. Yeah, I actually picked This Dying Soul. I didn't think that I would. I listened to Build Me Up, Break Me Down first, and I was like, all right, this is cool. And then, as I said, I'm a little more familiar with the Train of Thought record. I listened to that one more than I do A Dramatic Turn. And as I was listening to This Dying Soul, I forgot about some stuff in there. I mean, there's all over Train of Thought is that 7-string, which is just heavy and chunky, and I love that. It gets proggy. Build Me Up, Break Me Down, is a little more straightforward, like you said. It was on your gateway songs list, and I actually, now that I think about it, I think I might have had it on my gateway songs list. Now that you mentioned that, but anyway, yeah, I tend to lean more towards the more noodly type of Dream Theater songs, and I think This Dying Soul is definitely that. I wrote that to me it's more memorable, it's more active, and it kind of sticks with you more. Build Me Up, Break Me Down is a great song, but for me it's not as memorable as This Dying Soul.
Yeah, so, it was a lot closer than I thought. I mean, I love those Egyptian, was it Lydian chords or whatever we talked about before. Yep. This whole album is, basically just just one big, metal Iron Maiden tribute thing almost, with their with a lot of pedaling on the bass, in E and A minor and whatever they're using, B minor. I'm guessing sometimes. I didn't
Yeah.
sit down and analyze all the keys and everything, but it has all those cool things in it, and there's elements of Tool also with the way they're with their, they're playing some of those measures and stuff. But cool song. I don't have any problems with it. It was very tough to. I'm just picking it just by just a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's the same thing for me. Um, again, I'm basically going with the heaviness and the progressive elements over the more straightforward song, and I think we've established on the show that I definitely really enjoy the heavy side of Dream Theater. So anytime they get into that kind of stuff, I'm pretty much a fan of. So all right, so basically I have two for a train of thought so far, and you have two for, or excuse me, you're at 1-1. So one for a train of thought and one for a dramatic turn. So, track 3 versus track 3, Lost Not Forgotten versus Endless Sacrifice. And this was one of two really difficult ones for me. I went with Endless Sacrifice. So, it's slow, but that middle part where it speeds up is really, really cool. I really, really like that one. There's some really cool like keyboard stuff in the middle, all that kind of thing. And this is really one of the songs where we talked about at the beginning of the show, where the keyboard is acting as like a rhythm guitar, and I think this song really kind of showcases that if you really sit down and listen to it. So I think it gives it some major balls.
This one was a not even close for me. I picked Lost but Not Forgotten.
I kind of figured you might.
Yeah, this is probably my least favorite song on the album. I don't like the it's very rare I'll criticize a Jordan solo, but the first solo he plays, behind the opening guitar, it's a real thin synth sound. It doesn't add anything to the song at all, I don't think. I don't like it. It's one of the few times I heard him play something and I'm like, yeah, what he was playing there would have been better off just having Petrucci maybe do a little bit of soloing, riffs behind what he was playing on that clean stuff. Once you get halfway into this song and the solos come in, I love all the solos. I think those are all very cool. Like you mentioned, he does a lot of cool. I think this is the one that has like those little vaudevillian type little riffs he does or whatever in the middle.
Yeah.
And that stuff is cool, but it takes like 5.5 minutes for me to get there. And, with Lost but Not Forgotten, I mean, that's just such a giant, that's one of those epic, soundtrack cinema type song, the opening, you could see that from like a Spielberg with John Williams, who's probably most famous for doing the Harry Potter soundtrack. I think he did. It's very similar to that.
Yeah. Yes.
No, but yeah, but those Jordan, those piano things he does, Lost but Not Forgotten, the opening, and then like I said, it's got those huge like choir sounds behind him, voices, and I don't know, it just sounds like you're taking a journey on some great adventure, to go discover something or whatever.
Sure.
And I don't think it's to me this wasn't close.
It was close for me, but Adam Rishog says this one is extremely difficult. Endless Sacrifice just barely edges it out. And Gibson Les Paul is officially not a fan of me. He says, John, you're killing me. Lost Not Forgotten slays Endless Sacrifice.
You know what, though? That's what's great about this show, because if we all got on here and said the same thing, then it's like, I'd feel like the band like almost was missing. You know what I mean? Like the fact that we all interpret and like groove out on different things and aspects of this band is like, that's what makes it so fascinating to me,
Yeah, no, I agree. It's we should have had Adam and Gibson on as like we could have had like a tag team match. You can have Gibson and I'll take Adam, and we'll go to battle. We'll have to do that next time. We'll pick the albums and have listeners come on and be our tag team partners on this kind of thing.
Nice.
Yeah. So with Lost Not Forgotten, I did put in here that it has that kind of like the video game, like the real like chirpy like the video game type of stuff. In the intro, which is cool, and then it gets into that ugh 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 ugh. You know,
Yep.
that straight groove, which is really really cool. Um, but again, you know this, you know, the chorus of this song has that thing that I was talking about earlier, where it just feels like they're throwing progressive noodling parts in there. You know, lost, not forgotten, dying soul, you know, all that. It's like, okay, that's, why is that in the middle of your chorus? It's interesting and it's unique because they don't do that almost ever. But to me, it sounded kind of forced in there. Um, so, but again, this one was really really close for me. Um, you know, so all right, so you're at 2-1 for a dramatic turn, and I'm at 3-0 for train of thought. So, um, if my camera moves, I apologize. My cat's trying to get up here again, so he doesn't understand the whole concept of podcasting. All right, so song 4 versus song 4. This is the life versus honor thy father. And this is, I think, the first time that we really get something that's, you know, really two songs that are very, very, very different. So I'm interested to get your thoughts on this.
I'm actually going to go Honor Thy Father. And I think This Is a Life is one of LeBrie's best vocal
Wow.
performances. I love that song.
Uh
But
huh.
man, there's something about Honor Thy Father, that the heaviness of it, you know, it's like that Helmet meets Testament meets Pantera, you know, riffing going on. Um, and then it's during the verse, like the vocals will stop, and then the Jordan's like doubling with like a power synth. He's doubling what the guitar is doing. It's so heavy, and I love when those power synth sounds are you know, going along with the guitar and playing in unison like that. It just makes for a giant fat sound, you know. And that's, I think when you were talking earlier about how it was sort of a support, that was one of the parts of this album where it definitely stood out. Yeah, this is just a great song. The only thing I kind of don't like about it is, you know, sort of like the talking or the rapping or whatever you want to call it. Um, but you know, this is, didn't Portnoy write this? This is about his father, I believe, or his stepfather.
Stepdad. That's why the
Okay,
lyric is "Don't cross the crooked step."
right, right. So it's got to be one of those things to like to have someone else sing a song that's so personal to somebody else. You know, it's got to be a little weird. Like, you know, I think he does the best that he can with it. It's just it's a little strange hearing him do all that stuff, but it's like, it just, you know, it's an angry, bitter, crazy song. But I like all the riffs in it, and there's, you know, some Iron Maiden type nods there, almost back to Seventh Son, and a few parts here that I really like.
Okay. Yeah, this was one that was very difficult for me because they were two very different songs. You know, "This Is the Life" is beautiful melodically. It's one of to me, it's like that quintessential Dream Theater where every melody is perfect and it's, you know, it's beautiful and it's got emotion to it, and I love that about, you know, "This Is the Life." And it has a phenomenal guitar solo. I love the guitar solo in this song. It's one of my favorite Petrucci solos for sure. I also really like the part at the end where Labrie does the chorus but an octave higher. I think that just adds, you know, it's again, it's a perfect example of what they do when they layer a song and build to this crescendo. And I love when they do that. And this song's a perfect example of that style of writing that they've, you know, mastered over the years. But I did go with "Honor Thy Father" as well because it's just one of those wonky Dream Theater songs that I always seem to love. You know, you don't like the rapping stuff. I thought it was kind of cool because it was, you know, kind of was, you know, a different kind of, you know, vocal style. You know, the movie quotes that they stuck in there, you know, talking about family and all that kind of garbage. You know, and whenever I listen to it, I almost wonder if they're going to go back into any vocals at all. It always seems to me like, you know, they're just going to keep playing instrumental stuff and be like, okay, the song's over. I don't know why I get that feel, and I always thought it'd be kind of an interesting thing for them to do because they don't usually do that. It's, you know, it's, there is structure within the songs, but yeah, I agree with you. This song to me, it's heavy. It's got some really really interesting parts. So the ear candy is there. So Adam. Well, let's see. Adam and Gibson are going to war here. So this is the life from Luna Park is beautiful. Honor thy father is Skip City. 3-1. A dramatic turn of events for me. All right. So Gibson and I are pretty much at odds on this one. No surprise there. Let's see. Adam says the guitar solo in "This Is the Life" is exactly what puts it ahead of "Honor Thy Father" for me. I can understand that because, as I said, this is definitely one of Petrucci's best solos. So, and I got to be honest, I really thought that you would pick "This Is the Life."
You know, it was really close. I love This Is a Life, like I said. But I have a new appreciation for the stuff that's going on in Honor Thy Father. You know, I just think I love the vocals and the melodic parts of it, of the vocals and the guitar. And like I said, the way the keyboard's doubling, I don't know, there's just something about it. Like, but it goes back to, again, like this album for me, there's these parts that are there. Oh my God, these parts are amazing. But I feel, exact opposite of what you already said. We already argued about this, but I feel like, they're just kind of, and you know that it was his metal album, it was his stretch out and go crazy metal album. So I feel like it's almost more that they're riffs and not necessarily songs. And I
So
think
it's
that's
like
a big
okay,
difference.
so kind of like there's some cool parts, but they're not really glued together very well.
Well, and yeah, I mean, there's some of that, but it's just more like, I feel like, especially when we get towards the end, the last song, like it's really, you're just kind of riding this groove forever, which is fine, when they're doing Liquid Tension Experiment or solo albums and stuff. But I want to hear more melody and more kind of a basic, I don't like to use the word basic, but more of a song oriented approach. But that's also why there's no other album that sounds like this one either, which is cool too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely, let's just throw a slab of bleak, heavy, you know, chunky goodness at you, and you get what you get. It's the lyrical content's pretty dark. The album art is black and white, and I mean, this is a very stark record. It's definitely devoid of a lot of the colors that the other albums have. Which is why Octavarium was such a response to this one. They really thought that fans were going to dig it because they said they were out on on the 6 Degrees tour, and they're playing stuff like Last Prison, and people are going nuts. So they're like, "Oh, we're just do a whole record of heavy stuff. It'll be awesome live." And then people actually complained a little bit. They liked the dark and the light within the Dream Theater catalog, and so on the next record, they went with a classic progressive type of a sound. Adam says, "Train of Thought is the album you put on when you want to run through a wall." Yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is, man. Okay, so track 5 versus track 5. We have Bridges in the Sky versus Vacant. And again, I have one comment. No contest. Bridges in the Sky kicks ass, and Vacant is basically a throwaway tune. I don't think there's really much of a debate here. Am I right there?
No, you're correct. I don't even know how this song ended up, because if the idea was to try to break up the album or something, it doesn't work in that capacity either. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a little 3-minute song that I don't know who wrote it, but it sounds like something Jordan probably could have came up with in 5 minutes. But you're putting it up against something like Bridges in the Sky, which, I mean, probably my second favorite song on this album.
Yeah.
That's just not even, that beginning intro, Bridges in the Sky, with the sounds like the angels just coming, just climbing out of the clouds. Like I don't know, it's almost like the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark or something. You know what I mean? Like those voices. I don't know. I get like chills on the back of my neck when I hear that. Like, I don't know how he made that. It's probably just a 8 million like choir things sampled together, but it's just such a beautiful, eerie, atmospheric beginning to a song. And it's one of those just soaring epic songs.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It's especially when you put it up against Vacant. You know, Vacant was one of those. When I got Train of Thought, it was a very immediate listen for me. I love the record, but when that one came out, I was like, "What the hell is that?" it was, you know, it was definitely in contrast to what had been going on the rest of the album. And I mean, it's a cool song because of how atmospheric it is, but it's definitely not anywhere near as good as the rest of the record, or the stuff on A Dramatic Turn. So yeah, I agree with you. I think that it sounds like it was written more as a soundscape type of a thing than as an actual song. I was really surprised when I was in New York City for Score that they included this one. Like, I get they were doing something from every record up to that point, but I was thinking, man, this is the one they picked. Like, that was kind of weird, but you know, uh, whatever.
Good point
Uh,
from Adam. Said one of the most underrated DT songs ever. I agree with that.
yep. Oh, there he goes. He's on Team John. It's up there with the Great Debate. Here we go. Here's some fighting words. Everyone talks about Breaking All Illusions, but Bridges is the best on the album. We'll definitely address that later on in the show.
Hmm.
So,
I don't know
uh,
about that, but it's pretty close.
it's a great song for sure.
Yeah.
Gibson. Okay, stop. Bridges is a top 10 Dream Theater song, and Vacant should have never been written. That's pretty brutal. I don't know that I would go that far, but I really wonder if they were going through the record and they listened to it and went, man, we need something to break this up, and they literally just wrote it to throw in the middle to kind of cleanse the palate a little bit. I really wonder if that was the impetus behind it, because it definitely sounds that way. So that was a nice quick one. Track 6 versus track 6. Outcry versus Stream of Consciousness. Another one I think which is fairly easy. I picked Outcry. I love the chorus in this song. I think it's definitely one of my favorite choruses on the whole record. This one and Bridges in the Sky, they're perfect bookends to each other, at least for this list, because they're both like 12-minute long. They're that quintessential Dream Theater, long, drawn out, really proggy but really catchy in parts type of song. And to put them, back to back on this list was really, it's kind of unfair. Bridges in the Sky and Outcry versus Vacant and Stream of Consciousness, which, Stream of Consciousness is cool, but as an instrumental, it's really not anything that they haven't really done before. So there's not much to it.
Yeah, this was pretty easy. Outcry as well for me. I mean, Stream of Consciousness is, it's a giant jam. I don't know. I think it's like 13 minutes. That kind of one of the few that sort of does feel like 13 minutes. I mean, they're sort of just going off the same kind of a groove the whole time. I do like the last, if you can stick it out, the last 3 minutes or so. It's a real Baroque, classical type sound. He has like a electric, it sounds like an electric harpsichord George's playing on some stuff. Some
Yeah.
cool, like almost like Bach type riffs. And I'm a sucker for all that kind of thing. But if it takes me 10 minutes to get to that, then that's probably too long. And I just think after you've already, been bashed over the head with this heaviness, and then here comes this right in the middle of the album, or, well, next to last song, I guess, but still, like, it's kind of wearisome, I guess is the word. I don't know. Tiring.
Yeah. No, I get it. So Gibson Les Paul says Outcry is far from great, but Stream of Consciousness might be Dream Theater's worst instrumental. Outcry takes it. That is an interesting thing to think about. Is it the weakest of their instrumental songs? What do we have it up against? We have Yitze Jam. We would have Enigma Machine. There's obviously, we're talking about Stream of Consciousness.
Erotomania.
Yeah, Erotomania. What I'm drawing a blank on the title of the one on Scenes from a Memory. What the heck is that one?
Yeah.
Oh God, I can't believe there's our buddy Kale. Wait, restart. Kale, we've told you time and again. It's at the same time every other Thursday, buddy. Um, yeah, man.
We started at a different time in Australia just to mess you up.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. He wants to know.
Dance
Dance
of
of Eternity.
Eternity.
Thank you.
Duh.
I
I mean,
I can't.
their most famous instrumental we can't think of.
Yeah, what the heck? Thanks, guys. I don't know where the hell I was going with that. Yeah. Wow. Now that you put it up against all those other songs, I think he might be right.
Yeah, I don't think
Because
it's close. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Erotomania, but
oh, what's wrong with you?
I know. Hey, let's talk about Awake. We haven't done that in a while. Space Divest.
Oh my gosh. So, all right. Kale wants to know. He says, "Only just woke up. Restart. What's winning?" Well, what is your score? Because
I thought you were keeping score.
I'm at 4-2 in favor of Train of Thought.
Let's see.
I think you're closer. I think you might be 4-2 in favor of.
Yeah, maybe it's the other way around for me.
Yeah. So okay. So basically, we're on opposite sides here, Kale.
How hard is it to keep track of 6 songs? We can't even do that.
I know, this is ridiculous. What are we doing? What are we doing this show? What do we know? We don't know anything. Oh, Adam brings up a great one. I totally forgot. It's one of my all-time favorite Dream Theater pieces of music, Hell's Kitchen. I love Hell's Kitchen. That's actually my alarm. That's what I wake up to every morning is Hell's Kitchen. I put it on my phone.
Well, first of all, none of the other songs are anywhere near as long as Stream of Consciousness, are they?
No, because Stream of Consciousness gets into the double digits, and
yeah, I'm gonna disqualify Dystopian Overture just because it's sort of the quintessential part of that album and how it sets it up. I don't even consider it.
Yeah,
it's not a separate thing. You know what I mean?
It's hard. There's so many like musical interludes on the Astonishing that it's kind of hard to count those.
Yeah, I mean that's like what sets up the mood of the album. So I'm just
Gibson Les Paul. He says, Kale, it's 5-1 a dramatic turn of events.
Depends on who's keeping score, I guess.
I know that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, no, Gibson might be right because I would take all those other songs over Stream of Consciousness.
Hey, don't steal an episode.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, we just blew that one.
Yeah. Oh, there goes that.
We'll have to edit this part out of this show. So you guys already said that. No, we didn't.
Yeah, we'll put elevator music over it until we get back on track. All right. Track 7. So the final track, Breaking All Illusions versus In the Name of God. And again, I have one comment, so I will let you go first. My comment just says, dude, it's Breaking All Illusions. So
yeah, I'm not sure I don't even know exactly what in the catalog for me you could put it up against. You could probably find for you probably something off of 6 Degrees. I might maybe take Metropolis over it, but it's just I might even take it over Count of Tuscany.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
No kidding. I would have thought that Count of Tuscany would have beaten this one out.
I mean, I love that song. You know, it's great, but I think this is just a better. I don't know. The groove on it is just so amazing, man. I mean, there's so many mood swings, changes. The dynamics are great. It's just got it. You're like speechless when you talk about it.
Yeah, I agree. Adam kind of nails it. He says this might be the most lopsided one. Breaking All Illusions, of course. That puts me at 4-3 for dramatic. Gibson says Breaking All Illusions has my favorite Petrucci solo. Absolute perfection. Final score is 6-1. Dramatic turn of events. So, yeah, Breaking All Illusions. I think it's no secret. You and I have pontificated a lot on the show so far about how much we love this song. So it was easy for me to pick this, but that's only because I love this song so much, because I really do like In the Name of God. I think it gets a little lengthy, but it keeps my interest. I really dig that song. But you know, as Gibson said, absolute perfection. This is the way that this builds, and it's got that majestic kind of chorus, and that's uplifting and emotional, and the way that the middle part builds back into that chorus is just masterful. That is one of my favorite pieces of writing in the entire Dream Theater catalog.
So I want to read something, and I maybe you saw this. I read this interview the other day on Ultimate Guitar,
Okay.
and it was Petrucci. He said there's a lot of history of these big, epic, soaring guitar moments over progressions that become our style and a big part of our musical chemistry. When they first started Liquid Tension Experiment, fast forward 22 years, here we are again, even more experiences. It's those moments where you are the guy on the mountaintop with your hair blowing in the wind and eagles flying around. And it says laughs in parenthesis. I love and cherish those moments, and I'm grateful that Jordan and I are able to do that together so easily. So the whole gist of this thing is like, before Jordan was in the band, it was a totally different type of thing, and he brought this. I think really brought this Neil Schon, lyrical melodic style that's just all over everything now.
Yeah.
And this it's never on bigger display than it is on Breaking All Illusions. It's just great.
Yeah. Like it's one of the things that they do so well. These emotional dramatic builds, and again, I think this might be the best example of that in the entire catalog. This is definitely the song that stands out the most for me on this record. It's definitely the most memorable by far, and I like a lot of the stuff on on Dramatic Turn. Um, I love Train of Thought, but obviously there's some good stuff on Dramatic Turn, because the first four went to Dramatic Turn and the final three went to a Dramatic Turn. But yeah, I mean, Breaking All Illusions would stand out on any Dream Theater record, and I think that's why it's so good. Like, you could literally put it on any album and you would still be like, oh my god, that's a great song. Whereas a lot of the stuff on a Dramatic Turn would get kind of lost in the shuffle on most of the other albums.
I will say, in the name of God, I have a better appreciation for this song than I first. This is one of the ones I like a lot more than I did. It's sort of, this is what I was going back to. They really don't do much with this beginning idea, opening riff that they do. It's that Egyptian type thing going again over and over. And there, at one point, there's actually a callback to sort of what they were doing in As I Am, which is fine. They do that a lot of times. But the way the bass stuff that Young's laying down, the way he's grooving in and out, it's super cool. And the heaviness of it, it reminds me of, I don't know if did you ever get into David Chastain, guitar shredder? It's actually out of Cincinnati. He had a whole bunch of albums, but he has an album called The Seventh of Never from like the mid 80s. And the title track, this heavy riff they're doing here, sounds very similar to that to me.
Okay.
I don't know. Sometime I'll have to play it for you and see if you agree it sounds similar. I'm not saying where that's where they got it from, but I do have a new appreciation for this song. And I think actually the thing that kind of bums me out is it takes us until the end to really, I think, hear LaBrie's best melodies and best singing on this album. Like
really?
I feel like this is where he's really like, oh man, it's back to, it's just a little, I don't know what the word is. It's a little more clean in some of the things he's doing there. But I love and I especially love that little moody little piano part Jordan does in the bridge. It's like a little, just kind of an eerie type thing, that really adds something to it, because you really haven't heard him doing a whole lot in the whole album, and just a few little atmospheric things in here and there. But this is a song that I would really love to see live now. And before, if you would ask me, do you want to hear anything off of this album live, I'd be like, As I Am. I'd say As I Am maybe, but now I'd love to hear that, or Honor Thy Father, or In the Name of God. I think those would all be great live songs.
Yeah, I don't think they played Honor Thy Father very much. I saw it live at Tinley Park in Chicago. me and my buddy Jimmy went out there for the Gigantour, and there was a fatality on the turnpike on the way out there, and we got to the show just as they were playing their last song, which was "Honor Thy Father." I was like, "Damn it!" Like, so we caught one song, but it was a really cool song live.
It's
So
probably be really weird to play it now with Portnoy not in the band, you know.
it is pretty drum centric, especially in the beginning with that.
Well, I'm just saying because he has such a personal connection to this song. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know. I think it would be weird, like Mangini playing it and Labrie singing it if Portnoy's not pushing it in the set list. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I just don't think it'd be one they sit around and go, "Oh, let's play this," you know,
right.
just because of how personal it was to Portnoy. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's cool about In the Name of God is that, as you said, As I Am is a great album opener. I think show opener, excuse me. In the Name of God was an awesome show closer, I thought. They did encores after that and everything, but I just thought that those two songs bookended the record nicely, and it really bookended the shows on that tour really well also. It was, here's your last shot of just super progressive Dream Theater, like long and heavy, and it was really, really cool. So I dig that. Adam says, this is an episode for another time, but Labrie's best vocal, The Astonishing. And we will definitely get into that record because I am an enormous fan, and I completely agree with you on that.
Well, we had an idea too where we are going to at some point our favorite guitar, keyboard, and I guess vocal performances. Those are all might be separate episodes. But yeah, Astonishing. That's going to be an insane deep dive.
Yeah,
that's going to be. I'm really going to have to dig in only because there's so many song titles. Like,
yeah,
and I do know the album fairly well, but it's like I don't know the names of anything because other than the obvious ones because some of the things are so short. But
yeah, I love it. I mean, again, like you said, it's a show for another time. But I am such a huge fan of that album, and I have, obviously, I interviewed Peter O'Rulian while you were gone last episode 2 weeks ago, and that was a really good time. If any of you guys haven't checked that out, go, you can go check out the audio version on all our different platforms. But I've got the vinyl of it, I've got the novel, and now Peter sent me like a collector's edition version of the novel, which is really cool. And like I said, I definitely agree that that's his best vocal. All right, so Kale is giving us his. Kale, you did miss something. What we did is we took 2 songs off of Dramatic Turn of Events so that they each had 7. So whenever we do these, whichever album has less songs, that's how many songs we're going to take from the opponent, and so we have to agree on ones to remove. All right, so he's picking As I Am over On the Backs of Angels. I agree. This Dying Soul over Build Me Up, Break Me Down. That's what I picked. Endless Sacrifice versus Lost Not Forgotten. He's got Lost Not Forgotten. He picked This Is the Life over Honor Thy Father. Which
he picked the whole thing, didn't he?
Yeah, look at that.
Wait, okay, I'm confused. Is the asterisk the one that won?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the one that was first. All right.
Come on, Brian. This isn't very difficult.
It's
really not very difficult, man.
Why wouldn't you just put the one first?
Oh,
all right. Now I'm following it now. So it's pretty even.
Yeah. So he definitely kind of agrees with us in spots. So, well, that was fun, man. We'll definitely have to do this again. I think if we learned a lesson, it is to give ourselves a few days. Because doing it at random, I was like scrambling to try and like get notes and listen to stuff. Like, oh crap, I haven't listened to this record in a long time. So, look at that. Kale says that, or Adam says that he and Kale have literally the exact same choices. All right.
Nice.
Well, Kale and Adam, we are definitely having you guys on. We got to come up with a date, and we're gonna do our no pun intended Dream Theater set list. So we're gonna have all 4 of us pick, like, we do a 10-song set list and see what we all come up with as what we would have if we were gonna see 10 Dream Theater songs live. Which 10 would they be? So we're gonna be in contact with you guys to get you on here. So yeah, this was fun, man. We'll definitely have to do this again. I think doing stuff at random was pretty cool because this was a very interesting exercise. As soon as it came up, I thought, ah, crap, this is just gonna be me, a 7-0 victory for train of thought, and it wasn't. So
No, I'm surprised too. Well, I have a Spotify. Well, who doesn't have Spotify account? But I'm going to definitely I'll put some train of thought stuff in there. I'll probably never sit and listen to the whole album anymore
okay,
than I ever really have. But I could easily out of those 7, at least 3 of them for sure.
yeah,
Four I'd be fine with. But yeah, Vacant I don't really need, or Stream of Consciousness, and the parts that I don't like about Endless Sacrifice.
sure.
So, but yeah, this was cool, man. I mean, I like doing this kind of stuff. That it is sort of cool to be spontaneous. It's scary, but
Yeah, it, like I said, like doing it at the last minute, I was kind of like, "Man, maybe that wasn't the best idea I've ever had." So we'll
yeah.
have to fix that. But
Well,
thanks everyone.
should we give them a preview of the next show, or no?
I was actually just about to say,
Okay, sorry I
we
interrupted you. Go ahead.
no, it's all good. We got some really cool stuff coming up. We're gonna have an episode talking about. We wanted to dig into our top 10. We'll see if we can get to 10, but I think it'll be pretty easy. Top 10 favorite Dream Theater side project songs. So that's going to be weird because a lot of the Dream Theater side project stuff I haven't listened to a lot of. So I'm going to have to do some serious research for that. Either that or I'm just going to pick some other stuff because some of the side project stuff I'm absolutely in love with. So I could take the easy route if I want to. So we're going to talk about that. We are definitely going to have a show where we are actually going to interview Wayne Joyner, who is a graphic designer for the band, and he did the merchandise and the stage design for the Distance Over Time tour. So that amazing video production and stuff and all those graphics, he's the one that does all that. And he's actually currently working on stuff for the current record and tour. So he agreed to come on, so we'll be having that. And I'm actually working on getting a pretty big name on the show. I have no confirmations of anything as of yet, but I've got some feelers out there, so there might be something pretty cool coming up. It might have to be a pre-record, but we'll see. So yeah, man, good job on all this stuff. I really thought that I was pleasantly surprised by both of our answers. I thought this was just going to be me and you butting heads the whole time, and it wasn't. So
Fun show, man. We'll see you guys
Yep.
next time.
Yep. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Don't forget, if you would like to check out the show after the fact, we are available on all kinds of different audio platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, all those kinds of good places. So go check the show out. If you have any ideas for something you'd like to hear on the show, just shoot us an email, talkingintoinfinity@gmail.com. And we are here every other Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And our next show will be on Thursday, May 20th. And we will catch you guys at that time. So thanks for tuning in.